Hey everybody, Hoosier Jedi here with another review for you. This time talking episode 16 of season 4 of Arrow called Broken Hearts. And this was an alright episode. It definitely had some really nice stuff going on with the characters. Overall, the kind of the main storyline I wasn't really huge on. So let's just kind of get right into things. Island flashback scene, nothing really super interesting there. Uh, Having the idol that they find on the island be the one that Damien Dark is using, I mean, that's a nice way to tie things in with what's going on in the present. But again, what happens on the island generally tends to inform what's happening in the present, so this is probably not the biggest surprise in the world. So this just sort of begs the question, well, is Ryder part of Hive? What's going on? How did the Ryder idol get from Ryder, who obviously wants that pretty bad, and it seems like very clear that he wants to use that power for himself into the hands of Damien Dark. We'll have to see. Uh, Moving on into the present. And since we're talking about Damien Dark, let's get the stuff with him out of the way first. I do like how they don't have him say a word the entire episode. It really just sort of shows that we understand he's a really dangerous guy, and him not saying anything, that just sort of adds to the menace of him. And I like how they deal with this whole situation. They kind of list this phony name that he's apparently running around under. I'm not really sure if it's clear. I kind of wish they'd specified, like, is it public record that he's married to Ruve Adams? I also kind of think it would be kind of cool if Oliver by said, "By the way, I withdraw my endorsement of Ruve Adams." That kind of feels like something they should have done. But okay. Again, we see another mention of Markovia, which is nice. And I do like how once they get the trial rolling, they kind of deal with some of the things like, hey, what about all those other witnesses to the kidnapping at Oliver's party? It's like, oh, well, Hive has basically intimidated them. Okay, I can buy that. I mean, there's multiple examples of extremely dangerous organizations, terrifying huge numbers of people into keeping silent. Um, the whole thing with them trying to use Diggle and Thea and such as witnesses. It's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But oh, by the way, hey, here's proof that here's a compelling evidence, which is actually more or less true, that the Queen recently bought a boatload of cocaine. And I even like how they're like, hey, Diggle, what is Oliver Queen paying you in? Because it's been a long time since Oliver lost his money. And they even sort of have Felicity. I throw out there. It's like, hey, you were able to hack all that money from Adam Hunt's bank account. You don't need me to get money. Which, yeah, that is kind of one of the things that I had kind of been wondering about. It's like, okay, when things were tough, it's like, where's Oliver getting the money for all this stuff? And personally, though, I never really thought that Oliver made that hacking arrow himself. I figured he just intimidated some other computer tech savvy person into making it for him. But okay, well, whatever. Let's see. The whole thing with him, Damien Dark, smuggling. Oh, sorry. I do like how they handled that situation with Quentin, though. Like the judge saying, like, look, if this cop is willing to put the torch to his career, then I have to, take this seriously. Interesting that the lawyer for Damien Dark did not mention, oh, by the way, this is a cop who has admitted to his superior officers that he worked with the murderous vigilante. Remember, that's what got Quentin busted back down to beat cop basically for a while. So, kind of funny that the attorney did not mention that. Even more hilarious that Laurel is apparently able to question her own father on the stand. I mean, this is even more ridiculous when she was allowed to prosecute her ex-boyfriend's mother. And it is TV, and this is stuff that makes things more dramatic, but still. And this is especially hilarious when you consider that Mark Guggenheim, one of the main people behind the show, was actually a lawyer before they started doing TV stuff. But again, there's a reason that Hollywood law is a trope on TV tropes, and it's one of those ones that really does tend to annoy me. But some things just have to be done for the sake of drama. But anyway, the bit with Damien Dark smuggling that ring into prison at the very end, and I saw some people were like, "Really? Aren't the guards going to search him and find something like that?" Um, let's remember, Damien Dark spent is a trained member of the League of Assassins. I mean, he basically betrayed the League of Assassins, stole water from the Lazarus Pit, and all this other stuff. I'm pretty sure smuggling a small object into a prison on his person is well within his range of skills. Okay, you don't forget useful tricks like that, no matter how old you are. So yeah, that he could do that, pull that off. I don't see any problem with it. In fact, it makes perfect sense that he would try and pull something like that. And it also shows that he didn't put all of his eggs into one basket. He had a little bit of a backup plan. He still got some magic mojo up his sleeve. So, yeah. Now, getting into sort of the main stuff. Now, the plot with Cupid, it did in a lot of ways sort of redeem that Suicide Squad episode with me, that she and Deadshot were in. I wasn't really wild about that one. But here, her sort of saying, love is a bullet to the head, and I want to destroy love and all of this, and putting her into that situation, given what's going on with Oliver and Felicity. I mean, it was really a very, very nice stroke and a very good way to sort of move the character forward. Uh, Not sure exactly how realistic I think like an entire big ass wedding dress warehouse would be. That seems kind of ridiculous to me, but okay, whatever. Um, uh, and then this sort of brings the whole thing that's going on between Oliver and Felicity to the forefront. And during the episode, we see repeatedly that these two people both do sincerely love each other, and they don't want this situation as it is to really be happening. And I like how they do sort of tease, like, hey, maybe they will get back together this episode. And I like that the show didn't do that, because it would have been like, oh, well, that breakup didn't last long. And, okay, well, what would be the point? And, never mind, we've already seen the flash forward in time where things are still obviously not great between Oliver and Felicity. Or at the very least, Felicity is not wearing her engagement ring or wedding ring or whatever. So, nice stuff there. And I really did like the the way Oliver kind of set his own vows, and he really did come out there and put the truth of how he felt out there. And Felicity was clearly very moved by that. And she got her own little speech about what Oliver had done for her when she talked, basically almost succeeded in talking down Cupid. I mean, Cupid even said, you have a way of making a girl believe in love again. And Felicity was indeed being completely sincere there. But she was also being totally truthful when she gave that speech to Oliver at the end in the Arrow Cave, where she said to him, like, "Look, Oliver, don't promise me that you're never going to lie to me again, because we both know that's not a promise you'll be able to keep. The life you live, what we do here, sooner or later you're going to come across some reason where you think it's justified to keep something from me, and I just can't take that anymore." And as hard as that was, good on Felicity, because she's totally right. Oliver absolutely positively would do that. And Oliver doesn't want to do that, but he is who he is. You really put it nicely. There's always going to be a part of you that is that guy that's on that island. And yeah, she's probably right. Oliver is always going to find some sort of a reason to keep things that he probably shouldn't from the people in his life. I mean, that's one of those great Achilles' heels, the tragic flaw of many a hero. Um, Sorry, I'm just kind of flashing back to when my teacher in school was explaining, the fatal flaw that brought down so many heroes in, ancient Greek literature, like who was the guy that married his mother? His name was Pride. Oh, darn it, it'll come to me. Anyway, so let's see. Oh yeah, I also sort of found it kind of hilarious that they said, Oh yeah, Cupid's out because apparently Amanda Waller kept her word and let her go from Task Force from Suicide Squad once she'd apparently worked it off. I'm like, Amanda Waller kept her word? Bullshit. Bullshit that Amanda Waller would do something like that. But yeah, okay, the character's dead, whatever. We'll just have to sort of live with that. And yeah, I mean that kind of covers everything that I had to say about this episode. The overall storyline itself. Um, well, actually, no. I do want to talk a little bit more about, I guess, Quentin and what's going on with him. Um, Now, him, as they said, I mean, he said I'm putting a match to my career, but if this is what it takes to bring down Damien Dark, then so be it. And his whole thing of like, to Laurel, it's like, look, if this is what happens to me, then if this is what it takes to keep you safe and all that, then I'm okay with that. And again, this just sort of really adds fuel to the fire that Quentin is going to be the one that dies, because this is going to be the second time he's admitted to working with someone who has killed a buttload of people. And at least this time, the first time, he didn't even have the excuse of having someone threaten to murder his kids. Here, yeah, like Critten's career is completely and utterly finished. I mean, there's just no way he's getting out of this a second time. And being a cop, I mean, that's kind of what Quentin does. So there's that. It would be, a huge knife in the heart to Laurel, given the relationship that Quentin has with her mom. Obviously, Felicity has very good reason, beyond obviously knowing him for quite a while. And remember, they did have that cool scene towards in the at the end of season one where she basically, communicated how to disarm the bomb with Quentin. Yeah, so if Quentin dies, Felicity has very good reason to be upset. And if you were to take Quentin out of the show, he's the one who would affect things the least. So yeah, I mean, this episode, it just seems more fuel to the fire that Quentin is going to be the one that dies. And yeah, guys, that really does cover everything I had to say about this episode. So with that said, I'm going to call it here. Please comment, rate, subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitter at Hoosier Jedi. Please also join me on Tumblr at Jedi Reviewer. And until next time, take care and have a good one.